What is your latest "what the duck is wrong with people" moment? Watched a school bus run a red light at a 6-lane across major intersection this afternoon. Spoke to one of my newer employees regarding issues with her work. That evening I received an email from her father asking to meet with me because his 23-year-old daughter came home upset. I'm not kidding. I work at a pet store. This lady came in with her son, who couldn't have been older than 5 or so. She asked if I could help him with a ball python. When I took it out she was really excited to hold it and immediately kept telling her son how they were going to convince his dad to let them get it. Her son was clearly afraid of the snake, and she kept trying to get him to hold it. He kept telling her he was afraid that it will bite him. She tried to tell him that snakes don't bite and turned to me wanting me to tell him the same thing. I told the boy, while snakes can bite, ours are quite friendly and won't want to bite you if you hold them gently. His mom was furious that I wouldn't tell this kid that snakes can't bite. I tried to tell her why I can't lie, but she said it was unacceptable and now I have scared her son for life. I suggested him hold a bearded dragon and he loved it. I think he left happier than she did. 2 college students were standing in the middle of a busy road this morning, talking to each other. They were nearly hit by every car and didn't stop their conversation. Comments section on any CNN article. This just happened at a somewhat nearby school to me. The school's soccer team duct taped an autistic student that wanted to play soccer to the football goalpost. They all left the field, and he was found 15 minutes later. Seriously, what the duck is wrong with people? The San Francisco 49ers fans that nearly beat a guy to death in the bathroom because he allegedly tapped on his shoulder to tell him the stall in front of him was open. They don't deserve to ever see the light of day again. Yesterday, lady cut in front of me at the grocery store. I said, "Excuse me, there's a line." She replied with, "I'm pregnant. You understand?" What? Edit, she was not far along. If you looked at her, you'd have wondered if she were pregnant or just chunky. I was recently on a megabus from DC to New York, and a family with several young children was trying to find the last untaken seats. There was clearly a seat open, but when they asked the girl, she was like, "Sorry, I want to leave this seat open so I can sleep." The family was like, "Oh no, that's not how it works." They had to go get the bus driver and bring him to the back. The lady said the same thing to the bus driver, and the bus driver was like, "Oh no, that's not how this works." So the kid ended up sitting next to this girl. How did she think this was going to slide? I was out for a motorcycle ride yesterday. I stopped at a spot off the main road to stretch my legs a bit. Noticed in the bushes that there were bags and bags of garbage all dumped in one spot. Not like a McDonald's bag that someone casually threw out their window. More like someone loaded up with what could possibly be months worth of household garbage and dumped it in the woods. People like that, duck them. Some comments here have inspired me. I babysat 2 boys 3 and 5 years old and a girl 2 years old for a single mother this summer. This mother has no job. This mother has no income. I babysit, but I don't actually know what she is accomplishing while she is out most of the time. She lives in her parents' house, but they work full-time jobs and is also on WIC vouchers the government pays for her to get food for the kids. She does not have a skill that she practices, nor does she maintain any semblance of physical fitness. Her children are kept in a room starting anywhere from 9 p.m. if they make her mad to midnight, and they are not allowed to exit the room until the mother wakes in the morning. The catch: the mother uses Facebook or Netflix until 3, 4 or 5 a.m. each night. She sleeps until at least 11 a.m. every day, unless the children have an appointment in the morning. I want to confirm that this is sometimes over 12 consecutive hours of confinement that occurs more often than not. They are allowed to use the bathroom as long as they return to the room when they are done. I don't know what to do, so I take the kids on walks. They are ecstatic just walking down the sidewalk for a few blocks and coming right back with no stops along the way during the day, and play games with them while I take care of them. Once I asked the 5-year-old if he would like to eat breakfast with me at 10 a.m. He was just coming out of the bathroom. His response: "I think I have to wait for everyone to wake up," indicates to me that he believes his confinement is normal. He went back in the room and I didn't see him for the next couple hours. He eats dinner at the same time his grandparents eat, which is between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. almost every night. I'm so confused about this. I don't even know what is bothering me the most. Edit, please answer a few quick questions, if you guys can. Can I for sure submit a CPS thing anonymously? And I have next to zero proof other than seeing it myself. I also know she moved into government housing within the last month, because the grandparents were pushing her for improvement. Does it matter that she moved? Or that this was several weeks in the past? I want to clarify a few things people mentioned. The grandparents were out of the house at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and they often went to bed around 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. So they never witnessed the weird sleeping arrangement like I did. The grandparents voiced their concerns to me and asked for my help taking care of the kids. They paid me, not the mom. She thinks that she is such a great stay-at-home mom that it doesn't make sense for her to try to find a job or pay her own bills. That's what my ex-husband is for. The government is footing most of her bills with WIC and paying for her apartment. The 5-year-old goes to a deaf and blind specialty school, and the mom is fairly close with the school. I know in May that the mother got him onto the bus at 7:40 ISHAM because I was there for several of his last school days. She went right back to bed after he left, but she said it was his fault if he ever didn't get up to the alarms to get ready. I know he was responsible for getting himself in the shower and dressed for school. I mentioned when the kids eat dinner to point out that they don't think they are allowed to eat for half of the day, with no regard to how hungry they are. Maybe this is normal. I don't know. When I was little, I never had to go to bed hungry unless I said that dinner was anything other than great. And I was allowed to eat breakfast pretty much any time after, whenever I woke up. 5 a.m. Yep, breakfast time. I felt it was weird that the boy refused breakfast because he thought he wasn't supposed to have it. I'm trying to figure out her new address without asking her. Then I'm calling CPS. Do they take calls on Saturdays? Went hiking this weekend in Rocky Mountain National Park. A lot of things about people there angered me. The list includes feeding wildlife cheese puffs, walking on the tundra that multiple signs clearly say to keep off, initials carved into aspen trees, and stopping their cars in the middle of the road on the peak of a mountain. Last Saturday, I was walking along a vacant sidewalk when I was approached by a middle-aged couple. They were in jogging suits and walking considerably faster than I, so I moved onto the grass to give them space. When they got closer, the woman started yelling at me that I wasn't far enough out of the way. I apologized, only to be intentionally clipped by the man following her and landing on my back. I got back up and laughed it off, only to hear the man yelling, "You're not the only one in this city, asshole." At that point I was pretty amazed at how somebody can be that angry at someone they don't know. I hadn't said anything to them to start. So I live near a family that's just horrible. They lock their young son outside their house because he's annoying as duck and they are horrible parents. I'm walking outside. He's in their open garage. He has a bottle in his hands. I get closer. He's about to spray weed killer in his mouth. He does it before I rush in. I pound the door with the kid under my arm. The mom gives me a WTF look and I scream about her kid eating poison. She rushes to the car and they drive off. Last week, a man in the car in front of me threw a full-sized Pringles can out of his window and almost hit my car. First of all, how lazy do you have to be to ducking litter? Second of all, why would you be eating a full-sized can of Pringles while driving? Not latest, but this is when I first experienced how society is. I was 11 years old, and I had just come home after playing soccer with a kid from our neighborhood. Before I can walk inside the door, my grandma stopped me and told me that I have to take a shower and do a small puja before walking in, because the kid I was playing with was son of the family who makes living by cleaning houses. My grandma was treating them as untouchables. Made me realize how illogical she was. A woman changed her baby on the table of a busy restaurant working. Seriously, what the duck? People eating their lunch don't want to see your shitty naked child. A couple of months ago, when I stopped two guys, one early 20s, the other closer to 50, dragging an 18-year-old girl into a taxi while she tried to pull away from them. When I confronted them, I was beaten pretty hard and then pushed in front of a car. No broken bones, but it was doing about 25 miles per hour and the road rash sucked. But it drew enough of a crowd that she got away. Duck those two guys and the taxi driver that seemed to think it was acceptable. I still have nerve damage in my left hand from that ducking car. Every time I see a driver signal to change lanes and the guy 5 car lengths behind him speeds way the duck up to stop him from moving over. If you're reading this and you do that, duck you. At the local market and noticed this dog, a miniature Doberman, waiting by the door when I went in. I finished in the market. On my way out I noticed it was following people around. Very submissive, timid, like with tail between his legs. Then the people just motioned, kicked him away. He just sat in the middle of the parking lot, looking very confused. Another person was putting their groceries in the car next to me, saw the dog and said, "I've seen that dog wandering the neighborhood. It's sad, I think he was abandoned." Just as she said that, here comes the local idiot in a pickup truck, sees the dog in the middle of the lot, steps on the gas and hit it. It happened so quick. After the pickup hit Charlie, he just sat there, confused. I called to him. He came to me with tail between his legs, slight limp. His paw was ground raw. Took him to the vet. No chip, no collar, under a year old. This literally happened to me less than an hour ago. I was at Walmart with my friend, and he needed to buy some ham. It was a super center. Yes, I know buying produce meat at Walmart was my first mistake, but it's the closest convenience store. We go up to the counter, and the lady is obviously too busy putting rotisserie chickens in plastic containers to acknowledge us. So I say, "Excuse me," not rudely, just to get her attention. She looks up like I just called her a thundercunt or something, and comes over all irritated. I say, "Can we get a pound of honey-cured ham, please?" "Yes," I said, "please." I'm not recreating this to make me sound like a better person. She is clearly distressed by the whole ordeal. Having to open the display, grab out the ham, stuff that is physically taxing. Then she says, "Do you want that cut 1 or 2? I had never been asked that before, so I thought she asked if I wanted 1 pound or 2. So I replied, "Just 1 pound's fine." "No. Do you want it cut 1 or 2? She literally yelled the question at me. It took me a second to realize that meant the thickness of the slices of ham. But I had no idea which one was thinner. I'm still trying to be nice, but I'm slowly losing it. I just ask which one's thinner. She doesn't even reply. She just goes back, starts shit talking me to her other co-worker, who seemed way nicer, but probably heard a bullshit version of the story. The lady comes back with the ham, slams it on the scale, and puts it in the bag, and sends me on my way. The thing that made me think what the duck is wrong with people wasn't the frustration, or the yelling at me. It was the fact that she expected me to know what 1 and 2 meant for the ducking slicing machine. I mean, seriously, who the duck expects people to know the exact specifications of their sliced meat? Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.